In this video, I'm going to show you how to publish your landing pages using your own custom domain or an Ontraport domain. If you want to publish your pages to your WordPress site, you can do that as well, but we do have a separate video that'll cover that topic. Once you publish your page, it's live and accessible to visitors from your web address. Let's dive in. You've got 3 ways to publish your pages. You can use an Ontraport domain. This doesn't need any setup and is great for testing, but it's not always best when you go live. You can use your own custom domain, and this is the most common way to host your Ontraport pages. We'll explain how that works in this video. Or you can host your pages as part of an existing WordPress site. Now again, we're not going to talk about that here because we've got a separate video on publishing to WordPress. Before we start, it's important to understand how the internet address system works because Ontraport sort of lets you control every little element involved. So let's talk about the URL. First, a URL is short for a universal resource locator, and it tells your browser where to find the page that you're looking for, sort of like an internet address. And it has a few different parts. The first part is the root domain, then you have the subdomain, the folders and page, and the protocol. Let's look at a common example like Gmail. Now, if you actually go to your Gmail account and look closer at your URL, it'll look like this. Let's look closer and break down what's going on in this URL. First, let's start with the root domain. And this is what happens when you go to something like GoDaddy or some other registrar and buy a domain. In our example, our root domain is google.com. Now, Google has hundreds of products and zillions of pages, but they all live on the root domain google.com. For Ontraport to host pages on your root domain, you'll need to go to the registrar and add settings that tell your browsers when people type in your domain that they should come to our servers to find the page. This system is called DNS, and that's short for Domain Name System. We're going to actually cover those settings in a different video called Setting Up Your Custom Domain in the Getting Started course. Next, let's look at the subdomain. And in this URL, the subdomain is mail. Normally, subdomains are used kind of like different sites. So mail.google.com is different than google.com. And of course, what you see when you go to each of those is very different. Google puts each of its products in a different subdomain. So they have mail.google.com, voice.google.com, calendar.google.com, and so on. You can do the same thing using Ontraport, and we'll show you how in a minute. Folders and pages come after the root domain. And just like the folder structure on your hard drive, each of the bits separated by slashes here are separate folders, one inside the next. And the inbox is the page that lives in the last folder. You can think of these as a hierarchy, where you'll use a folder to put pages inside of relevant categories. So for example, here at Ontraport, we use categories for features, like this. Ontraport.com/features/CRM/pipeline management. In this case, Ontraport.com is our root domain, and the /features is a category. Then CRM is a category within features. And pipeline management is a specific page inside of the CRM category. You can use this to organize the content on your site by building category structures like this in Ontraport. We're going to show you how to do that in just a moment. But first, let's cover the last thing on the list, which is the protocol. There are only 2 protocols that you need to worry about right now, and that is HTTP and HTTPS. The one with the S, which stands for secure, is encrypted and the other one isn't. Ontraport will automatically install an SSL certificate for every page you host on Ontraport. And an SSL certificate authenticates the website and encrypts the information sent to the server. So you can use the secure or insecure version. But the HTTPS version is almost always best. We do give you the option in case you have some weird reason not to want your page to be secure though. Now that we've gone over the different parts of an internet URL, let's host your page using this information. We'll start with using an Ontraport domain. And like I said earlier, we offer these domains for a sort of quick setup and easy testing. But once you've got your page built and are ready to go live, we suggest moving it to a custom URL. It's not a great idea to use Ontraport domains for live pages. You want to build your own reputation in SEO, not ours. So to publish a page on an Ontraport domain, first you need to click the Publish button in the upper right-hand corner. Then second, you want to select Use Our Domain radio button to publish your domain to an Ontraport domain for testing. Third, pick an Ontraport root domain that you want to use from the Select Domain dropdown. Then choose a subdomain, which will usually be something that reflects your business's name. Note that in several of the domains Ontraport offers, there's already a subdomain. So when you add your own, there will be a subdomain. For example, in the URL yourbusiness.pages.ontraport.net, the Your Business part is a subdomain. That's okay, and in fact, you can actually go as deep as you like on this in both your domains and ours. Here's an optional step. You can add a file path, which is the text that appears after the / in a web address. This is useful if you want to publish many pages to the same subdomain and domain combination. So for example, yourbusiness.pages.ontraport.net/welcome and yourbusiness.pages.ontraport.net/pricing have different file paths. And again, a file path really just means a single page as opposed to a folder. When you've done all that, click Publish. Wait a few moments while our system generates an SSL certificate for you and makes your page secure, and bam, your page is live on the internet. Okay, let's switch gears now and talk about how to use your own custom domain to publish your pages. But first you need to set up your domain's DNS to point at Ontraport. Now we've covered how to do this in a different video in the Getting Started course called Setting Up Your Custom Domain, but it's really pretty simple. You just want to point your DNS settings to Ontraport. And our name servers are actually hosted at ns1.ontraport.com and ns2.ontraport.com. If you don't know what to do with that information, don't worry, just go watch that setup video. You can point as many domains at Ontraport as you'd like, and you only need to do this once per root domain. Once it's done, you'll be able to host pages on subdomains, in folders, and on any page you want. It's easy. You simply type the URL you want to host the page on and click Publish. So, if you want to host a page at mymembership.mybusiness.com/lesson1, you simply type that URL in, and we'll take care of the rest. And you can add as many subdomains or folders as you want. Now that you know how to host a page, let's talk a little bit about how to unhost a page. If you want to take a page down, you once again want to click on that Publish button, but this time you want to click on Unhost this page. You can also host your pages on your own WordPress site, but we covered that in a different video. Finally, let's chat about using secure versus insecure pages. The rule of thumb is to use secure pages unless you have a really good reason not to. Ontraport will always create a secure version of every page, and if you go to the insecure HTTP version of your page, we're going to redirect you to the secure HTTPS version. We've covered how to publish your pages to your own domain, to an Ontraport domain for testing, and to an HTTP so you can use pearls. Now you can get your site and pages up and running. In future videos, we're going to go over your third publishing option, which is publishing to WordPress.